What's up, bitches? It's just trying something new.
We'll try that again.
What's up, bitches? You don't like it?
No.
Run that back one time.
Deeper or
Yeah.
higher?
No, I think even higher pitch, as high as you can go.
Okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
What's up? What's up, bitches? Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast, brought to you by High Noon Hard Seltzer. I'm going to get out of the way as my beautiful friend and Kayce tell you all about it.
Oh, beautiful friend being Ev. Ev, we talk about this every single time. The teas, they just hit different. They truly do. And, you know, back in New York, it's a little chilly outside. So, like, maybe the carbonation isn't what you're looking for, but it's always good to have a tea. And I had a lemon tea this weekend. I had a lemon tea on Sunday. I had a lemon tea yesterday. They're just so good, Ev. They're so good.
I mean, everything High Noon touches turns to gold. I can't stress it enough. Every single High Noon beverage I've had has been delicious. It's just incredible. It's always there for you when you need it. Through the highs and the lows of a college football season, fall, the seasons are changing. Like you said, it's getting colder. Warm up with a High Noon. Why not?
Why not? I haven't even looked at the weather. Brandon, have you looked at the weather for Indiana this weekend? I have no idea. I'm assuming it's going to be kind of cold.
No, I think it's going to be about as perfect gets. I also haven't looked, but I know the rest of the week in Chicago is like it was as out of an oil painting. So, yeah.
That means that if perfect is perfect, it's high noon time.
Kayce, and
oh my God,
I'm going to do it, Brandon. It is going to be 70 and sunny on Saturday in Bloomington, Indiana.
No, that is literally as perfect can get. I mean, I prefer a little bit colder, but I understand that I'm just a weirdo.
Well, we'll be there in the morning, so it'll be the coldest part.
So, yes.
Probably 60 in the morning, we'll call it.
Yeah.
It'll be
70 was the high.
Stunning time for a high noon. Stunning.
Yep. All right. Y'all ready to talk college football? We move on into week 7, 9, 10, 11. 8. Week 11. So it is hard to keep up with the weeks.
It is.
And it's week 8 because I know NFL's week 7 and college football's a week ahead. So it's week 8. We have some big games. We have some small games. Very quickly, not a big deal. I'm going to run through this list and y'all react however you're going to react. ESPN released its top 25 players at the midseason so far. Here we go. Y'all ready?
Ready.
Blumman, have you already looked at it?
No.
25, Nick Nash, wide receiver, San Jose State.
Yo.
Blutman likes that one.
24, Noel Williams, defensive back, Cal, senior.
He's been great.
This dude's got 6 interceptions already?
Yeah, he's been phenomenal.
They have one of the better secondaries in the country.
Number 23, a Blutman guy, Harold Fannin Jr., tight end, Bowling Green.
Should be higher.
Number 22, Abdul Carter, Penn State, defensive end.
That's fine.
Number 21, Deion Walker, defensive tackle, Kentucky, junior. Number 20, Jalen Milroe, quarterback, Alabama. Seems high for what I believe he is and low for what he was even 2 weeks ago.
And I would say low for a lot of people's expectations for sure.
Number 19, Caleb Johnson, running back, Iowa. Number 18, defensive end, Donovan Ezuraku, Boston College.
Arguably could be higher.
Number 17, Will Johnson, defensive back, Michigan. Seems a little low.
Yeah, that could be higher.
Number 16, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, Colorado. Number 15, Curtis Rourke, quarterback, Indiana. Number 14, Kyle Kennard, edge, South Carolina.
Really good.
Number 13, defensive tackle, Mason Graham, Michigan. I thought he's going to kind of disappear this year, but maybe I'm just a Michigan hater. I certainly am. Tyler Booker, offensive lineman, Alabama, junior. Number 11, Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver, Ohio State, freshman.
Way
too low. That's crazy.
Top 3.
Well, yes and no. Yes, and the fact that what he's shown us is incredible catches and everything. But he's got 32 catches, 553 yards. Like there's other receivers that are miles better than him statistically. But this is his freshman year, and we know what he's going to be. So I don't know if he's been a top 10 player yet this year. We know that he is a top 10 talent, and we'll grow into that. Number 10, Derek Harmon, Oregon junior defensive lineman. Number 9, Ryan Williams. Wide receiver, Alabama.
That's the issue right there. Ryan Williams shouldn't be ahead of Jeremiah Smith.
Nick Scourton, Scourton. You never told me how to say it.
It's Scorton, but some people say Scourton. Some people Skirton. Some people it's Scorton.
Defensive line, Texas A&M. Number 7, Trey Harris, wide receiver, Ole Miss. Number 6, Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU. Top 5 players this year so far. Number 5, Dylan Gabriel, quarterback, Oregon. Number 4, offensive tackle, Kelvin Banks, Jr., Texas. Number 3, wide receiver, defensive back, Travis Hunter out of Colorado. Number 2, Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami. And the number 1 player in college football so far this year is Blutman.
The one and only RB1, Ashton Jeanty.
Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State. Who did we not say, Big F? Because I see your face.
Wait, did I just blank out on Travis Hunter?
There's number 3. There's number 3.
I had a lapse. I was thinking of I had a moment. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, Travis Hunter number 3, Cam Ward number 2, and Ashton Jeanty number 1. Top 3 seems right to me.
I would personally switch. I put Cam Ward at 3, Travis Hunter at 2, just because of what he's doing. We've been over that over and over. I guess because Quinn Ewers was hurt. That's why. Like, to not have Quinn or Arch on there seems glaring, but I guess it's because they've not played full seasons. I mean, Ashton Jeanty should absolutely be number 1. There's no doubt. I think Shadur is a little bit low, and Will Johnson's low.
I think Barrett Carter wasn't on there.
Yeah.
I think he should probably be on there. Avion Terrell as well in Clemson. I feel like Clemson's defense is warranted having a guy or 2 on there.
This is where these lists, I mean, obviously they put out the list so that we can talk about them and like they have their opinion there, but like having lists with like defensive linemen and quarterbacks and like offensive linemen and like guys in the secondary, like how do you decide that an offensive lineman is better than a wide receiver? Like that to me is where, like, I understand they have to do it, but it is like different. Like they should do skill players, linemen, like whatever. Cause it's like, how do you know that an offensive lineman is better than a wide receiver?
I think it should just be your level of dominance.
Yeah.
Like obviously with offensive linemen, it's hard to kind of, it's hard to like tangibilize it because they don't have numbers to back it up. But if you're just putting if you're offensive tackle and you're just putting every D end in your back pocket. Yeah.
Or if you're like a left tackle and like you literally like your quarterback never gets blindsided, like ever. Like, yeah, I guess, but I don't know. These lists are just lists.
Yeah, they are. I just thought, let's just talk about a shitty list and give us 5 minutes of something to talk about. That's all.
I don't know.
Ricky White could be in there too.
Who?
Ricky White, you want a lead receiver? Not just his receiving dominance, but he's arguably the best special teamser in the country. He's got 2 blocked punts. He
did
third that pretty much was.
Did I miss James Pierce Jr. on that list?
People are being quite moronic and being a lot lower on him right now. There's a lot of NFL mock drafts that don't have him in the first round right now. People are completely missing how great of a player he is. He's not putting up the numbers per se right now, but the attention that he is garnering, and he's phenomenal. He is one of the best 25 players in the country. People are tripping.
Also, the defense is incredible too that he's anchoring.
I think this is this as we go forward this Saturday. We've had some marquee games, and we certainly have a marquee game this week with Georgia and Texas. We've had some marquee games. I think this is. I'm going to name it. I like y'all. Y'all know when I like. Y'all know I like to name my Saturdays. Okay, and I'm going to name this Saturday. Okay, are you ready?
Ready.
This is Be Careful Saturday. Put Georgia and Texas to the side. Put Alabama and Tennessee to the side because both those teams are desperate. I think there's a lot of teams here with numbers beside their ranking or with rankings beside their names that better be careful. And I'm going to name you everybody who I think embodies that premise. Number 1, and they play on Friday night. Purdue's awful. Okay, Purdue's awful. Oregon coming off the high of highs, coming off the gigantic high of beating Ohio State at home in that remarkable atmosphere. Going on a sleepy Friday night to a sleepy town against a sleepy team. We've seen bad Purdue teams trip teams up. I'm not saying Purdue's going to win. Oregon better be careful. That's all I'm saying. At home, at some point, Oklahoma State might figure something out. I think they're better than they played. BYU at home Friday night. Be careful. I'm just saying be careful. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're going to lose. Indiana at home. 6-0. Got the number beside them. They're not used to having that number beside them. A rejuvenated Nebraska who needs a quality win. Thought they had it early. Well, I guess they kind of have it with Colorado. Yeah, they have one quality win. But they need a quality road win here. Indiana, be careful with Nebraska. Miami, I think we've proven that their last 2 games, they need to be careful every time they go out there because, it could happen. Clemson, I think, is fine. Notre Dame, you're on a path to 11-1, right? You're on a path to – you better be careful going to Atlanta to face a dangerous Georgia Tech team. Not a good Georgia Tech team, but a Georgia Tech team who has proven through 4 quarters they can hang with these teams. Alabama, Tennessee, again, both are desperate. Michigan, Illinois, both are probably on the same level.
Don't do it.
I'm going to do it.
I know you are. I figured you would.
Kayce, let me tell you something. I'm not saying we're going to win. I'm not saying we're going to win the game. I don't think we're going to win the game. However, we went to Texas a couple of weeks ago as 40-point dogs and played our asses off and ended up losing like 35-13 or something like that. It was 7-6 right before the half. Anyway, we played pretty well out there. We go to Georgia last week, lose 41-31. Our freshman quarterback's coming along. A&M's sleepwalking. They're going to sleepwalk into start. Well, that's just how. Why wouldn't they? They're against a 1-5 team. They're number 14 in the country. A&M could be sleepwalking here. Be careful, and that's a be careful spot, and I'm right.
I know. I do know you're right. I also told Blutman and Ev yesterday when we did, or Tuesday, whatever day it is, that this is our witching week. I hope that this year is not our witching week, Brandon. I truly hope that you and I, like when I see you in Chicago tomorrow, that you and I can hug it out and that vibe will stay no matter what happens on Saturday.
Well, I think it will, as long as you shut the fuck up.
Good news is we're on the road this weekend. There's no studio show, so there's no shenanigans that can be.
I got King be careful right here this week. The number 1 team that better be careful. Big F, before I say it, you want to take a guess at it?
The one I had in my head I thought was Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame's one. Okay, well, I got 2 more. I'll save the best one for last. We have Kansas State with a number beside their name. They look like they're got it going again at West Virginia. Always got to be careful going there.
You think, is it Iowa State?
No, it's LSU.
Oh, that's easy. That's almost like 2. That's like Brandon. You saw this line. You know what I'm betting. I mean, you know me.
I don't want to. I'm not trying to give away any of the underdog parlay. My entry is from this game. Is all I'll tell you.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think Arkansas is going to beat them. I do too. LSU hasn't been that good this year. First of all, they came out last week and they got beat from pillar to post for 3.5 quarters, and somehow, by the grace of God, stayed around long enough to dominate Ole Miss in the end to win that game. But LSU didn't exactly play all that well. They haven't played all that well all year. And Arkansas is not bad. They beat Tennessee. They practically all but beat A&M, who's pretty good. Like Arkansas has beat Tennessee and was in the game with A&M. And both those teams are probably on the level of LSU. And now this one's at home. I think Arkansas is winning that game.
I do too. I mean, if you remember, what was it? Was it 2 years ago? Maybe 3. Very, very similar spot where they played Arkansas in this like short, ratty line. And even it was KJ Jefferson was out. And Arkansas started, what's the guy's name? Thornsby or something like that? The quarterback's name? Hornsby.
Yeah, he plays receiver now.
And this just reminds me a lot of that spot with I think probably an even better Arkansas team than that team. And maybe a lesser LSU team than that team. I agree 100%. I think Arkansas wins.
People will be so mad at Brian Kelly if that happens.
Well, what do y'all think about Be Careful Saturday?
I like it. Yeah. I like it's like kind of like it sounds not very sexy at all, but when you really think about it, if we're sitting here on Saturday night and we're even talking about 2 or 3 of those games being Be Careful, that's pretty sexy.
What was your one the other week?
I got another one for you too.
Lock It In was week 3. That was Lock It In week 3.
I think another Be Careful spot is Kansas State.
I said Kansas State.
Did you? My mind's
you're having trouble keeping up.
My mind's in a million places. I'm thinking so many different things.
No, you know what it is. You know what it is. You've been in the New York office probably, and your head's ringing from all the cowbell ringing. Did you find your cowbell, by the way?
That wasn't my cowbell.
Oh, wasn't your Mike Leach cowbell?
No, it looked like it the first time, and I guess my Mike Leach cowbell is probably at home.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good to know.
Do some business, and then we'll jump into the 3 games.
Well, businesses, Brandon, and we missed you talking about pork rinds yesterday because let me tell you something. Pork rinds are the best snack. We talked about how they're doing the Crunch Time Hero now, where you can go and every week fans can decide who the Crunch Time Hero is. But Brandon, I know, at a house like yours, snacks probably don't last very long. They probably food goes really quick with those kids. I'd assume that you keep all your pork rinds at the office because you don't want anybody to steal your pork rinds because they're that delicious.
I have boxes and boxes of pork rinds here. I also, I have lost a little weight, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you a supreme fat guy move. There's a box in my Jeep. There's a box in my Jeep in the back seat, in the right side of the back seat. So Big Ev, you know this fat guy move. You're driving and I'm hungry. It's right there.
Yep. Right there.
Yeah. It's right there. That's where my pork rind box is.
Don't even got to take your eyes off the road.
Don't even got. I know exactly where it is. Maybe I feel around a little bit. There we go. Spicy dill, open, and I'm eating. That's my fat guy move, and pork rinds make it worth it.
But the good news is that they're not a fat guy snack, Brandon. They are.
No, they're not.
They have like less than one carb, like basically 0 carbs for every serving. They've got a ton of protein, but they've got that feeling that you're doing something sinful, but you're not at all. Porkrinds.com, Southern Recipe Pork Rinds. Go get them. The best snack in the game. Our best friends. Find your Crunch Time Hero, porkrinds.com.
All right. Let's start with here's the 3 games I pulled out. And if you disagree, that's fine. I pulled out Alabama, Tennessee. I pulled out Michigan, Illinois. And I pulled out Georgia, Texas, obviously. So we'll start with Georgia, Texas, because that is the marquee game. Now, I'm going to ask a question about Texas, okay? I'm not going to answer this question. I'm going to ask it. Is Texas truly separated from the rest of this country like they've possibly looked so far? Or has Texas, unlike Alabama, unlike Ohio State, unlike Georgia, unlike other great teams, has Texas just not played somebody on their schedule capable of exposing them?
I think it's both. More so the second option. And I think Texas is the number 1 team in the country. The hardest game they've played is what?
At Michigan.
And Michigan, Michigan, we know now is not very good. And Oklahoma should have given them a little bit more problems just because the rivalry game. But I do think it's a mixture of both. I don't want to completely discredit this team and how they've separated thus far, but they haven't played anybody that could expose them yet.
Big Av?
I think they're more legit than not. I think they, to me, they've done what great teams do. They've smashed teams. Mm-hmm. They haven't really played with their food much. We talk about the Mississippi State game. They did a little bit, but even that, they ended up winning by 3+ touchdowns. They run away with it. And even some of these scores, like even Oklahoma game, they could have won that game by 50 if they wanted. Michigan, we all saw it, same thing. And regardless of people trashing Michigan, they don't have a quarterback. It's true. They went out. Well, they went out there and just did whatever they wanted on offense to a very talented defense. A lot of NFL guys there. I like that Ewers was able to get back last week for them just to kind of get his feet wet. I don't worry that much that he threw the bad pick early. Oklahoma is a very good defense. He settled in. He looked good. I think they look good here. I think they're more legit than not. I think Georgia's going to give them a game. I don't think it's just a rout.
Right.
But I definitely think it's a close game. But I don't know. I've just really liked what I've seen from Ewers this season. I know he's missed a lot of time, but he just showed me so much comfort and just control in that Michigan game. And Beck hasn't really shown me that. He's made bad throws in timely spots. I think I trust Texas a little bit more right now than I trust Georgia.
Well, I'll just say this. I think it's entirely number 2. I think Texas are they among the best teams in the country? Sure. I think they're up there with Ohio State. I think they're up there with Oregon. I think they're up there with maybe Georgia. I can't really decide who the rest of them are. But anyway, I think they're up there. I don't think they are they're walking through this season undefeated, untied, unmolested. I don't think they are a super team. I don't think they are a team that is head and shoulders above Oregon or Ohio State or any of those teams. I think they just haven't had their moment that other teams have already had so far. This might not even be that moment because I don't know how good Georgia is. But you said, Big Ev, you like yours and you don't worry about that bad pick he threw the other day. I do kind of worry about it. I know he was coming off injury. I know that. I got it. I get that. Coming off injury to me doesn't really excuse the fact that through those first 3 or 4 drives, he was just making the wrong reads, throwing to the wrong people, missing wide open receivers. Guys were getting open by 15 yards. He was missing them by 20. Like, he looked really, really bad for about a quarter and a half. He ended up looking okay, but let me tell you what Georgia ain't. They ain't Oklahoma. Oklahoma doesn't have a good defense. Their fans will say, oh, we got an elite defense. No, you don't. You don't have a good defense. You were giving up miles of open receivers the other day, and Quinn Ewers couldn't hit them. If he plays his A game, they probably win easily. I don't know if he'll play his A game, though. I think maybe that he's capable of that B or that C- game. Anyway,
let me just counter that. He seems to, whenever they had these big spots, he's brought his A game. Last year at Alabama, incredible game. This year, Michigan, whatever you think about that big spot. In these big spots, he showed up big quite often.
Fair. I'm looking up Carson Beck stats because
that's where I was going to go too. Is like, you look at the other side. Like, I looked up where Michigan and Oklahoma's defense or offenses, like, they're like bottom of the barrel yards per play in offense. Like, they're terrible. Like, Georgia, like, Carson Beck hasn't looked like we thought he would, but Georgia is much higher on that list than Georgia or than Oklahoma or Michigan.
Well, my next question would be just name the quarterbacks that Texas has faced, because they didn't face a quarterback against Oklahoma. They didn't face one against Michigan. No. They haven't really faced a good quarterback yet. This will be far and away the best quarterback. And I know he kind of struggled in the first half against Alabama. He threw for 439 yards that day. He threw for 459 last week against a wretched Mississippi State defense. Threw 240 against Auburn. He was 23 of 29. The last 3 weeks, he's up around like 1,500 now. He's up around, what is that, about 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. Like, he's been pretty damn good, and I think this is a moment for him that he can answer. Now, ultimately, Texas is going to win this game to me because of the weapons, and Quinn Ewers has them, and I don't think Carson Beck does. Their running back situation just isn't all that good. I don't think they found, and I know they threw for a lot of yards against Mississippi State, I don't think they found wide receiver 1 or 2 yet to compete with these great rosters, and it's on the road. That's just what I feel. I feel like Georgia's probably a little undermanned there as far as weapons against Texas, and Kirby Smart deserves the karma after assaulting a Mississippi State quarterback last week. Kirby Smart deserves a loss. No, he doesn't deserve a loss. He deserves to be in prison, and I will not rest until that happens. Blutman, what do you think about this game?
I mean, I think you guys pretty much hit all the points here. I think my thought was, Texas hasn't really played, a true competitor, but the skill positions speak for itself. Being so rich at quarterback speaks for itself. Defensively, I think, one of our big questions coming in was how is the trenches going to be after losing some key members? Trenches have been good. The second level's been great at linebacker, and their secondary is pretty good. One of the top 25 snubs, I think, was Mr. Hill at linebacker. He has been one of the best players in the country, Anthony Hill Jr., and speaking of, his 4.5 sacks last season, a key forced fumble last week in Red River. He's one of the best 25 players in the country. He's a sophomore middle linebacker. That kid's a star. That was a mistake, and I think Texas wins this game. I think Georgia's downfall offensively is still Mike Bobo. I don't think he's figured it out. I don't think he does a really good job of utilizing the talent that they have. I know that there's a lot of talent in their running back room and receiver room, and especially tight end room. They are not unlocking these guys, and that falls on Bobo and nobody else.
Can I throw a third guy out there? Not a third guy, but another guy that I think we'll eventually hear from on Texas. Ryan Williams at Alabama gets a lot of the credit, as does Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, and both statistically have been better. But every time I see Ryan Wingo catch a ball, I think he is of their talent level. He is. I mean, he is super talented. He's long, he's tall, takes huge strides. He's a big target and can run and move after the catch. I think he's. We talk about that receiver duo like it's a big 2, and I think it might be a big 3 because that motherfucker is good, Big Al.
It's a big 4.
Give me the other one. Yeah, okay.
Coleman, even Marsh too from Michigan State.
Certainly. So many good receivers from this freshman.
Because what I was going to say, this class that came in with Marv and Neighbors and Dunze was this big receiver class. That one in whatever it is, 2-3 years is going to be even better. If they all come out after the junior year, that's going to be an insane receiver class with Williams, Smith, Wingo, Coleman, Marsh if he comes out early.
Now, I'm going to throw another idea at you, okay? Because I meant to ask y'all earlier, what's the messiest conference and what's the cleanest conference? At the top, maybe the Big 12's messy. If Texas loses to Georgia, y'all realize how sloppy and messy the SEC is going to be? Because A&M currently one less game than everybody. They're undefeated in conference. LSU's undefeated in conference. Texas is undefeated in conference. The one-loss group behind them, 9 of these 16 teams have one loss or fewer. Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Mizzou all have one loss in conference. And if Texas joins them, it's going to be a hot mess and a sprint to the finish because God bless A&M. God bless them. I don't think they're going undefeated in this conference. I'm just going to say. So I think they'll join the one-loss team eventually. I think LSU loses this week. Like you could, it's going to be messier than clean very soon, unless Texas wins this game. At which point it cleans itself up real nicely.
I mean, it definitely but see, even if let's say LSU wins, and I know that I still if Texas wins, solidify it because I know that Georgia looked bad against Alabama for a hot minute. It's still Georgia, but the SEC is super messy because if if A&M continues to win out and then they play Texas, the whole there's nobody that's really separating themselves unless all of a sudden chaos starts happening every single week.
Well, have y'all considered because I like to think of 10-2 maybe in this playoff era as I feel like you go 10-2 in a major conference, you're going to be in real good shape to make the playoff.
Especially if you're 10 in the SEC for sure.
That's the problem here. If Ohio State, Penn State, they all go 10-2 in the Big Ten, they're in no problem. In the SEC, I think there's a path that A&M could go 10-2. Then I know some of these teams are going to play, but A&M could be 10-2. If Georgia loses this weekend, them or Ole Miss will be 10-2 at the end of the season. Alabama could go 10-2. Tennessee could go 10-2. There's a shit ton of teams here. LSU could possibly go 10. There's a shit ton of teams that can get to 10-2. Missouri could get to 10-2. There's a shit ton of teams that could get to 10-2 in this conference and be a fucking mess at the end.
And that's when they're going to have to start looking at all the head-to-heads, which will also be a gigantic mess.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Michigan, Illinois. I don't have much to say about it other than the fact that Illinois survived against Purdue last week, 50-49 in overtime. They survived, making this a gigantic game in Champaign, Illinois. Now, Michigan can go one of two ways. They can win the games against the teams that are below them in talent level, which Illinois probably still is, and maintain dignity this season, right? If they fall apart and go 6-6, it's a clusterfuck. But if they go 9-3 and they lose to Oregon and Ohio State and whoever beat them already, thank you very much. If they go 9-3 and lose to that, they're not as good as they were, but that's respectable. This is kind of sneaky, gigantic game for the winner of this.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe for the loser of it. Go ahead, Big O.
Well, I was going to say, no, I mean, for the loser, it's definitely huge, especially like you said, Michigan, because they'd have lost to be at this stage in the season where they haven't played Oregon yet and Ohio State and have losses to Washington, and if they lost to Illinois as well. I mean, like you said, the season's totally cooked. Totally has fallen to the wayside.
6-6 is on the table if you lose this game.
100%.
I mean, having
Illinois, you're sitting there, Illinois, obviously, everything, if they win this game, everything's in front of them. Now, I'm not saying they're listen, they're in my head still a tier, a tier below Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. But they're putting themselves maybe in the run for a playoff. If they win this game, the playoff is very much alive for them. I haven't looked at what their schedule is going past that, but I mean, you're ranked 22 already. You beat Michigan. You have win over Nebraska. Say if Nebraska beats Indiana, maybe that win ages a little bit better.
Your only loss is a road win at Penn State.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In a game that you were competitive in. I mean, if they win this game, they're very much in spot for that 10th, 11th seed.
Blubman, you look like you have an opinion about this.
They play at Oregon next week. That ship goes crashing quite instantly, and they still play. At Rutgers is still going to be a tough game for them, sloppy defensively. I think it's way too early to start talking about the hypothetical of an Illinois playoff spot. That's crazy.
I'm hand up. Did not realize they play Oregon next week.
We're also, Blutman, there's a 12-team playoff. We're halfway through the season. Anybody who hasn't been eliminated yet, fuck it. We'll just talk about them hypothetically making the playoffs.
Mississippi State and UCLA.
Mississippi State's out already.
It was hurtful, but you did that. You also said your team, so handshake emoji.
And Kirby Smart should be eliminated because he assaulted Michael Van Buren, and that hasn't been talked about enough.
What? Okay. All right.
Go for it.
I did this for loser of the week or whatever. Who's down the worst? It was Kirby Smart.
Yeah,
I did
he
it for
did.
you.
Am I crazy? Should this not be a bigger story?
Nobody cares.
I don't understand. Usually a coach hitting a player or pushing a player like this, and the Georgia fans and his excuses like, oh, I was going to talk to the defense coordinator. I didn't see him. Oh, you know what I do when I walk around? If I don't see something, I just push the shit out of it. No, I know when I push somebody. I've done it before. You see them, you push them. You don't walk around and like, oh, man, what the fuck is that? You don't do that.
Brandon, you know what? Like, there's the other two examples of things like this happening that came to my mind. One, I don't know why I just got balloons for that. That was really weird. But like when you see a player, like a coach of his own team, grab a player's face mask, the internet fucking melts down now. Like if your own player gets touched by the coach, everyone melts down. And then we've seen Lane Kiffin has done it, where he like will yell stuff at the other players and they can like catch like the lip reading. People lose their minds. Kirby Smart not only like and like usually when it's a coach like grabbing his own player's face mask, they're like, well, that's just hard-nosed coaching. Like that's the way it used to be. Kirby Smart physically pushed a player on the other team and no one seems to care. Why? Except for you, you care deeply.
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
I don't believe he deserves the death penalty.
Okay.
I will settle for life in prison. I need him off the streets. And maybe they didn't arrest him because the Athens jail is already full of Georgia players. I don't know. But he should have been arrested, Big Ev. He should be in jail right now.
Brandon, I think that's very humanitarian of you. Anti-death penalty. I commend you for that. You're a bigger man than I.
He's not the only member of the Georgia football team that should be kept off the streets. That was good phrasing, Brandon.
Thank you, Bletman. I appreciate that.
Also, Brandon, are you upset that Kirby should have got a shove back from somebody wearing maroon?
That is
the problem was
it's on their sideline. I understand you're on the Georgia sideline,
and Van Buren was the only player over there. Like he scrambled and he was away from everybody. There was nobody over there to do it. I would have liked somebody. Let me tell you something. If Brandon Walker were standing on the Georgia sideline beside Kirby Smart, they would have all killed me, but I would have got something in. I'd have got something in.
But
fuck you, Kirby.
What coach, like Greg Schiano seems like a guy where if he caught wind of that or he saw that or somebody said to him, like he'd charge the other sideline. Are there coaches that would do that?
How are you going to push somebody wearing a visor? That's the pussiest hat you can wear. You can't be pushing people wearing a visor. I'm wearing a visor.
I think that this slipped through the cracks because Trayshawn Holden spit on the Buckeye. I think that's why this kind of fell through. People were focusing on that.
Spitting on somebody, I mean that was a wild move and everything. That's a player and a player. That's a player and a player.
And that got all the attention instead of this, I think. I think if that doesn't happen, everyone would have been like, whoa, look at Kirby.
It's a coach doing it to the other team. Who are we as a society if we go after coaches who do it to their own team or when coaches say things like it's another player?
I can't believe nothing came of it. I'm trying to think of if just a lower level guy in the American Conference just did it to USF's quarterback. American Conference is suspending that guy for a game or something, and just nothing. I don't understand it.
Who was it that Sark? It wasn't. It was was it a Texas?
Oh no, it was a Sark. Kind of physically and verbally assaulted the guy who was holding them back in the tunnel.
Everyone lost their fucking mind for that. And
they should have.
Well, I know, but he works for Sark. He looked like.
No, I don't think he did. I think he worked for that stadium.
Oh, I thought he. Oh, well, yeah, then that's bad. But I'm saying that was everywhere. You could this is a coach pushing an 18 or 19-year-old. Not his.
Who's going to be damn good. But that's another story for another day. One thing in the SEC I know is in Knoxville, Tennessee, you've got two desperate-ass teams. Two teams who didn't think they'd be here with one loss, especially when one of them beat Georgia and the other one on the road thought they had a big win against Oklahoma. Tennessee, boy, the first 4 weeks of the season were sunshine and rainbows. Nico's going to win the Heisman. Dylan Sampson's a great running back. Defense is incredible. We're just killing everybody. We're killing Chattanooga and we're killing NC State. And then they go to Arkansas, and they don't look good there. They lose. They come home to Florida, barely beat them. And now they have Alabama, who's doing the exact same fucking thing. They had the big win against Georgia. They lose to Vanderbilt, and they look like shit against South Carolina. Somebody's losing this game, and somebody's season is practically, I think, over. Because if Tennessee loses, they got a trip to Georgia coming in a couple of weeks. If Alabama loses, they got some stuff behind this game too. Fascinating thing here. Last time they were like both in the top 5 when they were at this spot, and in 52-49, Tennessee won. Tennessee's back and all that. 2 years later, what a remarkably fascinating game this is, Big Eb.
I actually, of the big games, I think this is the one I'm most confident about and who I think is going to win the game.
Who is that?
I really like Tennessee. I trust their offensive unit. Like, the offense has definitely left a lot to be desired. You touched on all with Nico crowned early. They haven't looked great in offense. But through that, even like the Arkansas game, low scoring game that they lose. Defense played really well in that game. Florida, pretty similar thing. I mean, they let up 3 points in the first half. They let up 17 points total. Like, the defense has showed up time and time again. The offense has not gotten right. And Bama's defense, I don't trust as far as I can throw them.
Well,
and that's the biggest. I can trust the one unit of the 4, both offense and defense, that I trust the most is Tennessee's defense at home. I trust that unit to show up more than I trust any other unit on the field.
To me, that's the key point is how soft Alabama's defense has been in recent weeks. Ever since the first half of the Georgia game, the second half, they gave up a gigantic lead, and we all got caught up and washed up in it like, oh, my God, what a game. They gave up a 25-point lead in seconds almost. Like, they gave it up so quickly. The next week, they go up against a Vanderbilt team who's solid and who wants to run the ball and control the clock, and that team scored 40 points on them. And then the next week, they play a South Carolina team who got beat 27-3 at home to Ole Miss 2 weeks ago. They go on the road, get put up 400 yards, and just come within this close of winning, scoring 25 points or whatever they scored. Every offense has had their best game against Alabama. Tennessee is dying to face a soft defense, and they might have it right here. And you know Josh Heupel. I don't think Nico is what they wanted him to be at this stage of his career.
Yeah.
But Josh Heupel is salivating playing this defense.
Oh, salivating. And then on top of that, when you look at the desperation that Alabama has felt, like I understand they got the win last week, but just this game, like the heated rivalry, like you mentioned what happened a couple of years ago, like there's just so much on the table. And Jalen Milroe, like I know that, he had his moments like the first half against Georgia where like, holy shit, this guy, like when he starts to get rattled, like anytime he starts to get rattled, like it's very obvious and it kind of like starts to slowly slide. So, I mean, no spoilers. I think this is the most intriguing game of the week. Like I understand we have Texas, Georgia, and like that probably means more for like the top of the playoff. This game has so much more intrigue to me.
Yeah, and for all those reasons, that's why I'm picking Alabama. Because
love it.
Because, to me, Alabama has fewer problems. There's a soft defense, which talent-wise has got to get fixed in some way, shape, or form. But ultimately, they're playing an offense who's just lost it. They've lost their way. They don't know what they're doing. They got lucky to come back. If Graham Mertz doesn't get hurt, they lose to Florida. They couldn't really move the ball against them. Couldn't move it against Oklahoma in the second half. Couldn't move it against Arkansas. Nico is not what they wanted Nico to be at this stage of his career. Dylan Sampson can only do so much. I think Alabama, and I'm going to trust the quarterback of Alabama more. He was not good last week. I don't think you're getting 2 stinkers in a row out of Jalen Milroe. I respect him enough to say that. I think Milroe goes in there, big game experience, and is able to pull this game out. That's what I think, Blubman.
Yeah, I think you guys really said it all. I think the one thing to focus on here is Nico's having a bit more trouble when that first read isn't there. And against that Alabama defense, that first read is there because he's going to be throwing a lot of deep balls and banking on like Dante Thornton to break free over the top, who I think is averaging 33 yards per catch on 9 or 10 grabs. So yeah. I would look for that from Nico on Saturday afternoon. A lot of just snap the ball, little play action, throw it downfield to a deep cross, vertical route, and let that thing fly. And I think he'll make some of those big-time throws. I don't have a pick for the game, though. I just want to watch good ball.
Kayce, let's talk about another partner.
Another partner, Brandon. You know what partner we're going to talk about? HelloFresh.
Yes, please.
I love HelloFresh. So, and just
haven't talked about them in a while. Welcome back.
We haven't. And I did something that, maybe it's because of my older age or because I'm a mom now where
old as fuck. Yeah.
I know, right? I meal prep a little bit sometimes. And I knew that after I get done with this podcast, that I have to kind of throw some stuff together and I have to head to Chicago, right? Like I got to go to Chicago. I've got the NFL show tomorrow. And I was like, I want to eat something healthy before I go. So I pulled out all the menus of HelloFresh and I made the firecracker meatballs. Comes with a little ginger rice, comes with some green beans, Brandon. And it's so easy because you just get the menu card and it's made for idiots like me. You step by step, they give you all the ingredients like exactly measured out. So you don't have to waste all the money getting all this stuff. And I knew it was going to be healthy and fresh. And then I'm just gonna be able to eat it and go. And that in football season, like that's an underrated thing for people that like work as hard as we do or have a million family or not million families, million kids, things that are going on. You need something that's easy and also healthy, and HelloFresh always takes care of that.
When that box gets to your house, you open it up and you just see the ingredients. They're fresh. They're just fine ingredients. You open it up and then they're all 30 minutes or less, or most of them are 30 minutes or less. You get that thing to cooking and smell it. Look at that. Yeah, it's so easy. It's so perfect. And it's so healthy. Like everything about it is good. It almost, it's one of those products that's like it's almost too good to be true, but it is true. Like they just send you the right food for the right time and the right ingredients and the right everything. HelloFresh is awesome.
And if you're watching it on YouTube right now, you can see that I just pulled out the pub style shepherd's pie that I plan on making on like Sunday because it's a little chilly out.
Yeah.
I just love that every week you can pick your menu. You can, and like if you're trying to be super healthy, if you're not, it's all there. So we love HelloFresh and they love us. And right now you should love them too. You can get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/Brandon. This is a new one. We've never had this type of promo code. You ready?
Go.
Free Walker.
Free Walker.
Free Walker.
Well, if I ever see Kirby Smart, that's what we're going to have to start hashtagging.
So Free Walker. So get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/Free Walker, and it's applied across 7 different boxes, which is even cooler. Instead of just getting just like straight 10 free meals, like you get a discount for 7 straight weeks using the code Free Walker. It's new subscribers only. It does vary by the plan that you choose, but 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/Free Walker. 10 HelloFresh meals. It's America's #1 meal kit. We love it.
It works if you have a small family, or if you have a million kids, a milli. It works. It works if you have any of that. So we move on to the categories. We have, and Kayce, you weren't here last week, but I have flipped the categories, and I now do most excited last.
Okay.
And I'm going to start with the Liam Blutman Memorial.
Ooh.
Cover Your Eyes Game of the Week. And I never do this. I'd like to start. Okay, Brandon, go ahead.
Like no one was going to stop you. Like what we're going to say no?
You know what? I'm not going to start. How about this? I still like the order. I like to go clockwise. Big Ev, your Liam Blutman Memorial Cover Your Eyes Game of the Week.
I looked into this one. I didn't have to look too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you watch Air Force play football in the year 2024,
yep,
cover those eyes. I'm getting both eye patches out from my palsy phase. I'm just throwing them over my eyes like this, and I'm turning on the game. Because I'll tell you what, Colorado State, not much better, also kind of stinky, but Air Force, brutal, PU smelly. Just maybe the worst team in FBS. Truly awful. Their only win, I think, against Merrimack or whoever they played, they scored like 17 points. They're an atrocity.
All right, who's next? Oh, there's Liam right above it. Go ahead, Liam.
So Tulsa Temple is one of them, as is Michigan, Illinois, because that Michigan quarterback atrocity going up against Illinois secondary, pretty scary. Then, Brandon.
Yes.
How about the FCS ranks, bud? How
Please.
about 0-6 Bethune-Cookman going to play Mississippi Valley State?
Inabina, Mississippi.
A pair of teams combined 0-12. Do not watch this game. I don't know what it's on.
It's probably not on.
It's got to be on somewhere. Mississippi Valley State has a great basketball commentary team. Those students are good.
Blutman, I fucking love them.
They're so good. If they're calling this game, maybe tune in. Don't look at the game and just listen.
I've thought about. I have legitimately thought about flying them up to the Barstool Chicago office. I just want to meet them. I just love them so much. Kayce, your cover your eyes game of the week.
So this one is probably on paper it shouldn't be that bad, but I think it's gonna be really PU stinky. I think TCU Utah is going to be really gross. TCU has not had a great season. I know they're 3-3, but now Utah, I mean, you talk about what's your term, Brandon? The cheese slid off the cracker. No Cam Rising. They just look pathetic. This is just one of those games that in the Big 12, fine, throw some money on it, but it's going to be a gross football game. It's not going to be a fun Utah versus TCU of the past type of game. It's just going to be who can get to the finish line with more points.
All right, my Liam Blutman Memorial game of the week is on Friday night. Ooh. Let me tell you what I'm not going to be doing on Friday night. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you the truth. Duke's 5-1, but they don't play a particularly pleasing brand of football to the eye. They really, in my opinion, they don't. They're not, and they're playing 1-5 Florida State. They're playing Florida State with a backup quarterback. You can't even watch and the quarterback start of the season. You can't be there go DJ. You can't do that shit. You got to be watching. You got to watch Duke and Florida State as they're currently constituted, and it's going to be fucking awful and terrible. There's no chance I'm watching Florida State Duke. Again, Duke, not a bad team, but it's not pleasing to the eye. It's not sexy football, and Florida State plays the ugliest football in the entire country. That's my cover your eyes game of the week.
What? Yeah. That's why I was going to say.
Flubman's getting an Big Ev, you getting an apple?
Are you?
I think I might grab it.
Okay. All right. If you got to grab it, grab it.
I mean, the first time that you guys both grabbed the apple, it was a sweet apple. There wasn't a worm in it.
+3 at Duke.
Oh, my God. You keep going back to that apple.
The only thing I will say is the last time we grabbed the apple, DJ was playing quarterback. Glenn is so fucking bad. He's so bad. But I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at it.
Made a few good throws in our last game. Credit.
I listen. There's a very good. I'm gonna say we're filming this right on Wednesday at 5:00.
Yeah,
very good chance I'm grabbing the apple. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Grab the apple, Big Ev.
Big Ev
also, and he probably talked about it yesterday, and I'm sorry I couldn't be here. I had a sick kid, and I had to go to the school and get him. I know Big Ev's team lost the other day, but Big Ev, you were something like 17-4 this week, 18-4 in college football.
18-5. I'm back.
Yeah,
I've had the worst gambling year of my career by far, but football, I've been back on track.
All right,
football things been turned around.
Let's do upset alert next. What team should be on upset alert? Again, this is Be Careful Saturday. I have 3 games that I can say, but I'll wait till the end. So I'll just see whichever one it doesn't get taken. Big Av, what's your upset alert?
I wrote down 3 as well. I'll pick one. Last week I gave you Buffalo. You're welcome. Easy winner. Dominant win. I really think Notre Dame's an upset alert. Georgia Tech, going to Georgia Tech. This is kind of just what they do. They're able to kind of make games ugly. Haynes King is just a solid quarterback. He can throw a little bit. He can run a little bit. I really like Brent Key. I think the defense is solid. Also, Notre Dame, Benjamin Morrison out for the year. Massive loss. Massive loss for this defense. Have not been impressed at all with Riley Leonard this year. They're Georgia Tech's catching 12 here. I think there's a very decent chance they win this game.
Blutman, your upset alert.
Talked about it last week. It was a tricky spot for Iowa State at West Virginia, and they passed the test with flying colors. Kansas State now plays at West Virginia. Kansas State coming off a very tough-fought, kind of emotional win at Colorado. Now they're going all the way to West Virginia. Also next week, they've got a rivalry game with Kansas. A lot of stuff going on with Kansas State there. They're in the thick of that Big 12 race, but if you look at the conference records, West Virginia is technically still in that race as well. I believe they have the same conference record as Kansas State. West Virginia might be playing with a heck of a lot more desperation, and they're starving for this one. Another low spread there. I would look out for West Virginia. Kansas State needs to be very attentive this week.
All right, Kayce, your turn to go ahead and take a lick of the lollipop. Go ahead. What have you got for the upset alert?
I'm going to take the Kentucky-Florida game, Brandon, and by the time we get to Saturday, it might have actually, like this line might switch, but right now it's Kentucky -1.5 going into the Swamp, both 3-3 teams. And like you talk about desperation, like, Billy Napier and this Florida team, like every week you just keep thinking, okay, are they finally going to lose and they're going to fire him? But there's something about this game and Kentucky being favored going into the Swamp. Kentucky has obviously played good games. Their defenses look good. And then they have played some really bad games. They're coming off of a loss. There's something about this Florida team that seems like at home they are going to be able to cover the 1.5 point spread.
Oh, I get to say all three of mine then. Miami at Louisville. Louisville, I don't think is a bad team. They've taken some losses. They lost to Notre Dame, then they lost to SMU. I still think going into Louisville is kind of a trap. It's not somewhere I want to go on a Saturday. They're a dangerous team there, and Miami went to Cal and very well could have lost. They had Virginia Tech at home, very well could have lost. I think Louisville is as good as both those teams. You got to watch out for that one.
Early kickoff too.
And the one I would choose, if I had to have one of these three to put on the pedestal, I think it's Indiana at home against Nebraska. And it's the same principle I had with Indiana incorrectly a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Indiana is not used to being 6-0 and being ranked. Indiana is not used to being here. It's a new sensation. Anytime you're a team like an Iowa State or an Indiana or Mississippi State, if we were good, and you're not one of these teams that's traditionally 6-0, it always feels, and you always have that fear that the other shoe's about to drop, that the loss is right around the corner. And Nebraska coming in at 5-1, I believe off a bye. I'm not 100% certain, but they are off a bye. So Nebraska coming in fresh here. Nebraska coming in with a quarterback who, he's a gunslinger kind of, and I think that might be. I got Indiana on upset alert, and the third one I would look at is the one that I just think is going to win. I don't even think this is upset alert because I think Arkansas is going to beat LSU. But those are mine. Big Ev, what were the two you had that you didn't say?
Blutman said West Virginia. I think so. Kansas State. I think Kansas State is on big time upset alert. And then you just said it, Arkansas, LSU. Yeah. I think Arkansas wins as well. I agree.
I think wins as well.
What player to watch? Who's the player to watch this week? Big Ev.
I think I've said it before. I think this is another chance. Carson Beck, go make yourself some money this Saturday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go prove that you're the guy that everyone thought you were before the season started. You're the crazy up and down game against Alabama, some really bad moments, but also some really incredible moments. Go on a big-time stage. Even if they don't win this game, if he just plays well, shows out, he's someone who I want to see. I want to see Georgia. Can Georgia be that team they were in the second half against Clemson? Because I haven't seen it since then. I guess they showed me a little bit in the second half against Bama, but we've just seen it so scarcely. Go show me that for 4 quarters, Carson Beck.
Blutman, who's your player to watch?
Well, Thursday. I feel like an idiot because I didn't give one for Tuesday, and I didn't give one for Wednesday either. But Thursday, he got name dropped early on. I didn't expect that one. Donovan Ezeraku, top 25 player on that ESPN list, 9 sacks this season. I could be wrong here. I think he leads the country in pressures. He's a pass rushing technician that can make a lot of money in the upcoming NFL draft. I like him a lot. Friday night, Jacob Robinson, BYU cornerback. He is locked down. He is so good. Then Saturday, I was having trouble picking between 2 guys. Then James Pierce is one of them. I think James Pierce, another highly touted edge rusher. This is a big time money game for him. Now I wanted to bring him up too because you brought up Indiana. Elijah Surratt, the man who, probably don't give nicknames to yourself, but he nicknamed himself Waffle House because he's always open and it's sticking. And he's in store for another big game. He is as reliable as they come. And yeah, you're talking about Indiana, Brand, and you're talking about they're not used to being, being ranked, having the 0 in the loss column or whatever. Yeah, Indiana might not be, but Kurt Signe is quite used to it. He just wins. All he does is win.
I Googled him.
Yeah.
Who was that Mezeraku guy you said?
Donovan Ezeraku.
How big is he? 6 foot, 7 foot?
6 foot. Why would he be 7 feet tall? He's playing.
Oh, I don't know how big he was.
6 foot 2-ish.
Kayce, who's your player to watch?
Well, it was going to be Carson Beck, double down with Ev, just because we've talked about this. Like, Texas has the #1 defense in the country, but they just haven't played a quarterback yet. And so to watch Carson Beck come out and, like, I know, we go back a few weeks and we see that Carson Beck just really struggled against that Alabama defense early on, and he ended up figuring it out and getting it together. I don't anticipate having that exact same, repeat, but I'll add Quinn Ewers too. I mean, Quinn Ewers last week his numbers were not sexy. Obviously, he had a sluggish start, but this is going to be the best defense by far they've faced. So if you look at this game, having both Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck just kind of flirting around, making that next step back into the Heisman race. They're far down underneath the guys at the top, but they're still kind of hovering around. This is the big moment for them.
All right, my player to watch, and I got to lean up. I got to talk to this guy. Big Ev said Carson Beck, now's the time to make some money. Oh, okay, I got that. And Kayce was right with Quinn Ewers, too, because I think he needs to play better than he played against Oklahoma. Nico, wake up. Wake up, Nico. This is your moment. It has to be right now. I know you're a freshman. I get that. But you're way more talented than whatever this bullshit is I've been seeing the last couple of weeks. Tennessee's got a much better offense than whatever this bullshit I've been seeing the last couple of weeks. Nico, wake the fuck up. You got Alabama coming in. You got Jalen Milroe. You got all this. You beat Alabama. You effectively end their season. This is a rivalry game. You get to smack them right across the fucking cheek and say, get the fuck out. You're not a playoff team this year. You can do that this week. Nico, it has to be you. It can't be. Dylan Sampson's a very good running back, but they ain't beating Alabama with Dylan Sampson. They got to have a quarterback. They got to have 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. They got to have it. It's Nico. It's Nico. It's Nico. It's Nico. If it's not now, it's never this year for him and for that team.
It's a good one.
Thanks. Let's see what our next category is. We have 2 left. No, we have 3 left. What game has 2 overtime potential? Big F. And let me just go ahead and tell you, Big F has it this week. He's got it.
Brendan. I did it.
Yeah, he did it.
I finally got it. I found it.
This is my favorite part of the week.
Friday night.
Yep.
Conference I know better than almost anyone.
Mm-hmm.
The Mountain West. Fresno State headed out to Reno, Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
Big game in the Mountain West. Dogfight, scrap, Nevada. Much better than we thought they'd be.
Mm-hmm.
Fresno State loses their coach right before the season. Still been all right. Bad game against UNLV, but still been all right. Classic on Friday night. The real ball watchers will be watching CBSSN Friday night. I'll be there.
Blutman, did your eye twitch a little bit when he said, when Big F said, I know the Mountain West better than anybody?
No, I didn't like how he said Nevada.
Shut up.
No, I won't.
No, you shut up.
Nevada?
How did I say it?
Is it Nevada or Nevada?
Nevada.
It's
What,
Nevada.
I said Nevada. I do say
Nevada.
Nevada.
Yeah, it's Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
I believe how you say it is how the city in Iowa is pronounced.
What do you know about Nevada?
My place.
All right.
I ran it.
What is your 2 overtime game this week?
Western Michigan, Buffalo.
Oh, wow,
Just
that was
matching on a Saturday.
very matter of fact.
Also,
It's a good tagline. Just maxing on Saturday. Go ahead.
Also, real quick, I know the MAC well. Take Western Michigan. You thank me later. Everyone watching this, take Western Michigan, Buffalo, the upset. Now fade them. They win.
Yeah,
you fade them the next week.
You hit that last week when you said take Buffalo, right?
Yep. Now fade them. I'm telling you. Now bet against them.
After Ev said that, the next day I saw Toledo had like 12 guys pop up on the injury report, all undisclosed. I was like, all right, just luck of the draw right here for Ev. This one's in the bag. I
Buffalo double-digit dogs. Now Western
Kayce,
Michigan.
Your 2 overtime potential, please.
South Carolina, Oklahoma. Just a gross game, just gross across the board. I think I don't know exactly. I can't remember what the line is right now, but just Oklahoma being favored. I think they were, last time I looked, they were favored by 1, maybe 1.5, but just a gross display of football. And South Carolina had a little pop early. There was a lot of potential. Obviously Oklahoma thought they were going to be good. Just 2 shitty defenses that are fine, I guess. I think it's just going to be a dumpster fire slugfest that could go into 2 overtimes.
All right, brief history lesson on my pick.
Okay.
These 2 teams have played triple overtime games before. They played long overtime games before. This season and this season alone, LSU played USC. It went down to the final drive. LSU played South Carolina. It went down to the final drive. LSU played Ole Miss. They won in overtime. It went down to the final drive. Arkansas played Texas A&M. It went down to the final drive. Arkansas played Oklahoma State. It went down to the final drive. Arkansas beat Tennessee on the final drive. Both of these teams, the preponderance of their games has been settled at the very, very end. I think Arkansas LSU could be a 3 overtime fucking classic this weekend. These teams just can't separate. They're always going to be playing right there to the middle against their opponent. That's my choice.
That's a nice
Arkansas and
history
LSU.
lesson. Good history.
Thank you very much. I mean, if you think about it, it really is. Those two teams really are weird. Like LSU's whatever and 1, Arkansas's 4-2, and pretty much every game they played that's not a cupcake has been this close and right down to the end. All right. We got more business?
We do. I know that it's November when your daughter turns 16.
That's right. Yeah.
Thanksgiving
Day.
The car to make a decision to the car is coming.
I got it. I got this. Cars.com has over 2 million cars at any given time. They have over 50,000 cars uploaded daily. Whether I have to search for safety features or vanity features or sunroofs or whatever, CD players or cassette decks, probably won't search for a car with a cassette deck, but I probably could. On Cars.com because I can find whatever I want whenever I need it. And if I decide to trade a car in or sell a car to afford this, I can go to Cars.com. They're going to tell me my car's value, and they're going to do a great job with it.
Cars.com.
Wow. Okay. Cars.com. Yeah. Thank you very much. We have 2 categories left, and this one's kind of upset alert and under the radar are a little very, very similar. But we still have the under the radar game. Big Av, what's yours?
So it's hard to say this team is anything under the radar, but this game hasn't been mentioned yet. We mentioned some of the players in the team. I mean, every game Colorado's in is just cinema.
That's
and I mean, now you're going to they match it with Arizona, 2 like elite quarterbacks are going to duke it out. This is going to be a fun game to watch. Like if you watch points, you want excitement, this is the game for you. I think Fafita, Shadur Sanders, one of the better quarterback matchups you'll see in the country. I love this guy. I think it's going to be a very exciting, fun game. Very excited to watch it.
Blutman.
Yeah. This one is going to be for those watching at home and for you guys as well, if you would like. Just look at New Mexico's schedule right now. Look at their results. Do the same with Utah State's schedule and results. Just look, and you tell me why this shouldn't be the under-the-radar game of the week. You tell me if you like points, if you really do truly like points. Because let me tell you, the over-under on DraftKings right now, 78.5. New Mexico, Utah State. These defenses can't stop a runny nose. 78.5 is the total on DraftKings, man. And the offenses are humming. They've both got this is crazy. Devin Dampier is a phenomenal quarterback. I love watching him. He's going to be a Power 5 player next season. Spencer Petras is completing passes. He is throwing downfield. It is unbelievable that the former Iowa quarterback has actually figured out how to use his arm, and he's doing it well. It's crazy. Jalen Royals, too, wide receiver for Utah State, pro.
Mm-hmm. Kayce, you're under the radar game?
I agree with Ev. It's Colorado, Arizona, and I mean we're still waiting to hear exactly what's going on with Travis Hunter, but it's also in the middle of the day. It's like a 4 p.m. kick Eastern, which means that it's going to be like prime time. Like we got to check in on this game, and Arizona's sneaky good too. I don't know. I mean, any game that Colorado plays, people are tuning in, but this is also, the Big 12. We know who the top teams in the Big 12 are. This is those 2 teams right in the middle. Colorado's 4-2, Arizona's 3-3, kind of who separates there. And obviously we're on Travis Hunter watch.
Yeah. Colorado's 4-2, but they only have the 1 conference loss. So, I made note of the Big 12 earlier with BYU, Iowa State, and Texas Tech, all with no losses. And then you got the mass of Arizona State, Colorado, Cincy, West Virginia, Kansas State. They're all just right there with 1 loss. Mine is Kansas State, West Virginia. We kind of talked about it because we had so many upset alerts. But Kansas State kind of plays a real watchable brand of ball. And West Virginia just feels like a team of chaos this year. Like you really can't keep your eyes off of either team. So I got Kansas State, West Virginia, although there's a ton of them. Now, what game excites you the most this week? And it might just be a two. We're either going to say Texas, Georgia, or Alabama, Tennessee, although Blutman definitely has an FCS game in there. So I'll start with you, Blutman. What game excites you the most this week?
Yeah, I also just don't want to say the obvious game every week because we're all already excited to watch it. So
you can do whatever you want to do.
I know. I'm just laying it out there for those in the chat, and then people people will tweet me so angry that they thought I didn't care about Georgia, Alabama that week. They genuinely thought I didn't care about that game. Nonetheless, going on during Georgia, Texas. The Jackrabbits of South Dakota State play the Bison of North Dakota State at the world-famous Fargo Dome on ESPN2. If you ain't watching that on the second screen, Mark Gronowski, Cam Miller, Trey Lance's brother, Bryce Lance, playing receiver at North Dakota State, is doing a phenomenal job. He legit might end up getting the spot in the pros. Griffin Wilde killing it for the Jackrabbits as well. Easy breakout player. That was easy to see coming. I can't wait for this ball game. This is where true Dakota men show up, and I might be one of them.
Kayce, you're most excited. Did Big Av go? No, Big Av has. Big Av, you go.
Listen, there's an obvious answer. There's a couple obvious answers. I'm going to take one of them. As you guys know, I'm a gambling man. What does that mean? I like stakes.
Mm-hmm.
Want to game at stakes? Alabama and Tennessee. This is potentially a loser goes home match. I love this match. We talked about Tennessee's defense, Bama's offense, Bama's bad defense. Tennessee's offense needs to get right. I love this game at Tennessee. I think this is the game I'm most excited for because one of these teams is going to go home real sad, and a fan base that thought they had everything in front of them, was thinking national title just a few weeks ago. Yeah. All that could be down the drain with a loss on Saturday.
Season over on October 19th. Kayce, your game that excites you the most?
Yeah, I have two. I mean, I said it earlier. It's also Tennessee, Alabama. It's the third Saturday in October. Crazy shit might happen. There's going to be some cigars potentially happening, but also just like the drama that comes with that. Like Texas being new in the SEC, like the hatred between Texas and Georgia just isn't there. And like we know that there's a gigantic amount at risk for Texas and, Georgia obviously too with the 1-5, but the hatred that Alabama, Tennessee has for each other, and the loser may have to leave town. And then Brandon, I have to be honest, it's our game just because, we don't get to enjoy nice things. Okay. As an A&M fan and as a Mississippi State fan, we've had some moments. You had the Dak Prescott moment, I had the Johnny Manziel moment, but in reality, we don't get a lot. But you know what we do have? We play each other every year, and one of us is always happy and one of us is always sad. So I'm excited to see which one it is. And I think it's going to be me, which is why I'm excited.
I'll be excited when you shut the fuck up.
I am most excited to feel joy versus you.
Kayce, I think you got to tread lightly here. That's all I'm going to say.
It's a big if.
This is weird. We talked about it on Tuesday. You said weird shit happens. The one that you don't expect with a Mississippi State team that weirdly has been more competitive.
I know.
They've been more competitive. They haven't been that dead dog they were against Toledo. That's all I'm saying. Brandon said a be careful week. That's a be careful game, big time.
And you know what makes me sad about
A&M, they were dead. They're back. Everything's in front of A&M now.
It wasn't long ago that A&M still was in a dogfight with Bowling Green.
Hey, is everybody turning against me now?
Yeah,
we're saying tread carefully.
Casey, this is as a friend to friend. This is a be careful game for real.
I know that. I'm most excited to watch it, and also will be most devastated to watch it if we lose.
2016, Mississippi State is 2-5.
Oh God, here we go.
They've lost to South Alabama. Texas A&M comes in undefeated, number 4 team in the country. Mississippi State beats the living piss out.
Oh, I remember. Thank you.
I'm just saying. Okay, we'll move on from that because the game that excites me the most is Texas, Georgia. I mean, and Georgia, Carson Beck. This will be far and away, and it's not close. This will be if Texas wins this game and wins it handily. I just think they're number 1 with a bullet. because they're number one right now, and I'm fine with that. The only other team with an argument is Oregon. They're number one right now, but again, they just haven't had to beat anybody yet. They've handled business like a number one team ought to handle business. They walked into Michigan, flopped their dick out, slapped them with it. They slapped Oklahoma with it. Well, you ain't gonna be able to slap Georgia with it, and so it's just a matter of is Quinn Ewers sharper than he was last week? Is your team a little bit sharper than it was last week? It's going to have to be. But this is a huge moment for Texas, and if Georgia wins, chaos has arrived in the Southeastern Conference, and it's going to be a mad dash to the finish in the SEC and probably the country, because at that point, Oregon will then be number one with a bullet, and everybody's kind of chasing them. But that's what I want to see. Does Georgia win and force us into a chaotic whirlwind of college football over the last 6 weeks? Or does Texas just stamp it and say, fuck y'all, we're number one?
What an absolute like twist of events. That would be like a couple weeks ago, we're talking about how like Oregon is not very good. Well, I did, but like Oregon's not as good as we thought they would be. And then all of us, if that happens, like that you just said, they're number one with a bullet. Like that is a quick turn.
I mean, it's credit to them. They didn't play all that well in the first couple of weeks, and they did turn it around, and they did do exactly what they became what we thought they would be in the regular season. Maybe they always were. Maybe they were holding back. I don't know. So I think all we got left. Do we have any more business, or we just have my business?
Just your business.
Hold on now.
You love to share business, don't you?
The Twitter block is changing soon. If your posts are set to public, accounts you've blocked will be able to view them. But they won't be able to engage. For more control over who can see. Okay. Fuck.
That's big for you. Wow.
Huge for Brandon.
Yeah, well, that's
life-changing for Brandon.
That's 8,000 people are going to see me again.
8,000? Is it up to 8,000 again?
It's at least 8,000. I might be conservative. Sometimes I let them all out.
Wait, were you at 8,000 before?
I'm sure I've been in the thousands before.
Yeah,
Did you
Katie
unblock at some point?
Katie like a mass unblock.
About once a year, Katie would unblock for me.
Oh my, what a job that is. Holy.
The only thing I would say to Twitter, if you want to change your block, make mass unblocking easy. That way, when I get it up, I can just hit one button and say unblock everybody. And just, no, why don't you do that?
Well, what's the point of letting them see what you say? Like, that's like the whole reason like, that seems stupid. That's being like, oh, I'm going to get a restraining order against somebody, but they can still like hang out in my presence. They just can't say anything to me.
It is time now for the Dog of the Week Parlay presented by DraftKings. The Dog of the Week Parlay presented by DraftKings. It has already hit multiple times this year. And that is where Big F gives an underdog, Blutman gives an underdog, Kayce gives an underdog, I give an underdog, and we parlay it on the DraftKings Sportsbook. And let's do that right now. Let's build that parlay. Big F, go first.
All right, mine. I'm going big game here. Game we've talked about quite a bit today. I said it, the game I'm most confident in, Tennessee +3. I really, really think they win this game outright. I'll gladly take the 3 points. I got in a lot of trouble myself last week. I talked about Ohio State. I said defense travels. It unfortunately, in our case, it did not travel. But one thing I know for a fact doesn't travel is bad defense, and that's Alabama's. So give me Tennessee +3.
Blutman, your underdog play.
Yeah, we hit last week, so I think we've hit 3 of them.
Crazy.
I kind of want to leave this one up to you guys if we should go spread or money line here. I like Georgia Tech, and I've talked about it earlier. That +320 money line kind of scary.
Let's relax and go spread on that.
All right.
12 is a lot of points.
Because if you fuck us on a
12, we'll take the 12.
If they lose by 6,
and you fucked us with that,
we'll take the 12 then.
12's a lot of points. Take the 12.
We'll take the 12 with Georgia Tech. Everything I've said about them earlier was just not in my head and silence, knowing that I was taking them later for this segment. Tricky spot for Notre Dame. Big game against Navy next week too. Everyone seems to think that that's going to be, pretty substantial. Well, lessens a little bit if Notre Dame were to take an L this week. But nonetheless, I think Georgia Tech keeps it close. The rushing attack is so good. They'll be in it.
Kayce, yours.
I mean, I'm going big game as well. I know that we've talked about this, just like I'm going to double down. I'm going to take Georgia. I think Georgia's going to win this game. And I don't it has nothing to do. I mean, even if they don't, like the 3.5 point spread, like to me, I think that this is the time where we're really going to see what Texas is made of. And there's just something to me that's saying like actually playing a real offense, playing a defense, playing like and I've been part of it, crowning Texas. Like they are the number one team in the country. I said it when we were live in Dallas, like they are by far the number one team in the country. And I've fallen into it. They just haven't played anybody really. I mean, the names are there. Oklahoma's there. Michigan is there, the former national champions, but the defenses are god awful. I think Georgia keeps this even closer than 3.5.
It spreads up to 5.
Oh, it's up to 5?
5 right now.
Yeah, can I get it at 5?
I believe so. You'll get that, yeah.
Oh, well then even more so.
And I will close it out. Big Ev with his Tennessee play, Blutman with his Georgia Tech play, Kayce with her Georgia play, and I will give you Arkansas plus 2.5 against LSU. Talked about it all the time. I think Arkansas is winning this game. See, this is this one right here, Arkansas plus 2.5. That's one you can do money line, Blutman, in a parlay.
Yeah,
and 12. But anyway,
take the 2.5.
I'm going to take it. But I'm just saying.
I think this could be a little match here.
But Big Ev, you know what I'm saying. This is the one you would put a money line parlay. You wouldn't do it 12 unless you were super confident. Are you super? Well, no, we're not doing it.
No, don't do it.
It's intriguing, though. It's intriguing.
It's very intriguing.
So, if you're taking the parlay, put a little sprinkle on the money line, too. Just for us.
And if you... Yeah, okay, all right. So anyway, that's the dog of the week parlay presented by DraftKings. This week, DraftKings has a college football parlay profit boost. All you have to do is head to the app and opt in. So head to the app right now, the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and to check out our bet and claim this week's boost. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Week 8 preview is done. It's in the can. And Saturday night, we will join you probably about 10:30 Central Time, like we always do, to talk about the chaos that has unfolded in Be Careful Saturday. Anybody have anything to add at the end?
No, we're going to Nebraska, Indiana. We'll be there.
At 10:30 a.m. I don't have it in front of me. All I know is we have a much friendlier location than we had last time. Last time we went to Indiana 2 years ago, we were out in front of a bowling alley about a mile from the stadium. It wasn't a great location. We had a good crowd anyway. But this week, I think we're way closer. Where are we?
Yeah, corner of 17th Street and One Lot Ave. It's literally right outside the stadium.
That's in the shadow of the stadium.
Yeah, like just right there. Right under that bad boy.
Great spot to watch some Curtis Rourke football.
What did you say?
Curtis Rourke football.
Curtis Rourke football.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my voice there.
It just made it all one word.
I don't know what happened there.
All right. That's Unnecessary Roughness. We will see you guys Saturday night.